corporations now that have dropped DEI. Now, in the government, they did it because he ordered...
Backlash for what?
For too much DEI.
I don't think those people understand what DEI is. DEI is not the hiring of black people who are not qualified or
it can
people
be.
who are... No. That's not what it's about.
It can have that result.
But anything...
Black people should be the most offended at DEI because now anytime I see a black worker,
right,
that's what I assume.
Right, you're like, oh, female
or
pilot,
a woman, or a disabled person. I'm just like, well, didn't earn it.
Apparently, Bill Maher, who's a liberal, just dominated gay black Don Lemon, and this is about DEI, and apparently it's brutal. So let's see if we can actually agree with a liberal or...
All right. Well, I mean, the bar is pretty low. Like, I don't think it's hard to dominate Don Lemon.
Yeah, it's really not. Yeah, especially him being gay.
Did one thing, the sketch where Tom Hanks puts on a MAGA hat, so he's a Trumper, and then Keenan comes over to shake his hand, and he won't shake his hand.
Yeah.
And I said this on Fareed's show the other day. I found that that's so old. You know, I didn't vote for him. I get all the bad things about that administration, but if you think they don't shake black people's hands, it's just you're wrong. That's not who they are. Matt Gaetz shakes black people's hands. You know, Kid Rock will shake your hand. It's just not helpful to like think that half the country that's where they are. That's your
still you're a comedian. You know, it's part of its comedy.
I understand.
But let's be honest. There's a huge faction of the MAGA movement that's really fucking racist.
I wouldn't say huge, no. I'd say partly.
I would say huge.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have different perspectives.
I would say huge, and even if they're not, you have to overlook a lot of that in order to support Donald Trump, which I think is maybe even more egregious than just saying I'm a racist.
So what do you think is the worst? I mean, to me, the back in, was it 89 with the Central Park 5?
Yeah.
That was, to me, like the most egregious thing because it just seems so like, and then, of course, the Obama birth certificate, which...
You mean with Donald Trump?
With Trump.
What's the most egregious?
Yeah, I mean, he sued me, Trump did.
For the orangutan thing?
Yes, because I was making fun of that because that was very racist. But also, like, he seemed to be just, I mean, there was something very animating about his like, just laser-focused drive about the Central Park 5 thing. That seemed to, I would feel the racism in there.
What was the payoff? Why was he there?
That couldn't even be further from the truth with MAGA not being racist. Like, MAGA, again, like Trump, all he talks about is at the inauguration is, oh man, the blacks really pulled out to vote for us. The Mexicans really showed up. Like, that's all they talked about.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. Like in this past election and even the election before that, I believe like black Americans were voting so much more for Trump. Like he's always boasting about how black unemployment's the lowest ever, Asian unemployment, blah, blah, blah. Like if anything, he panders way too much. Like we should not be trying to prove ourselves as not racist to these people that will think we're racist and insane no matter what we do. You cannot, and also I always say like hate or like disapproval from terrible people is the best endorsement ever.
That's good. It means you're doing something right.
Exactly. So what are they talking about? Literally what? Because he says, what, Mexican are rapists?
He wishes there were racists everywhere.
I know.
Like he wouldn't have a platform if there was, like, he barely has a platform.
Yeah. These people are insufferable.
There's something in him. And of course we know his father was a virulent racist.
Yeah.
You know.
We know that.
And he grew up in a different time and he's almost 80 and yes, I understand that element to it. But, you know, to ascribe to all the people who voted for him, which is a majority of the country.
I didn't say all the people.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not a majority. It's plurality.
Or whatever.
Just real quick, like we just talked about how like the black unemployment being down, all these things. It's like these people, what, he's racist because he makes some funny, offensive jokes.
You're making more money than the average American. You're sitting there in a cashmere sweater and you're mad at the rest of us because you're like, it seems like a racist country is doing black people a real one,
right?
You know?
And he of course like builds his entire like fame and audience off of the backs of the so-called oppressed. But it's like, would these people rather the actual tangible outcomes for Black people and minorities to be worse? Like, would you rather their unemployment rates be higher and then be worse off as long as we don't have a president that says, Mexican illegal immigrants are rapists? Like, would that make you feel better? Or
Which they are. So.
Well, some people say they are, and YouTube does not.
A debate.
There could be a debate,
Which is worse.
Yeah, and since we're on YouTube, I have to give you the opposing opinion. No, they are not, Lily. Disavow.
They are not. I disavow that, of course.
Yeah.
We don't stand for that around
No,
here.
you can't. Not on YouTube, but go check us out on other things.
Oh, yeah.
There you censored. Censor.tv. There you can see full things. But yeah, it's just these people. It's all pandering. It's all like pearl clutching. And that's why you saw Black Americans and all these minorities going out and voting for Trump more, because they saw that actually under Trump their lives were better. So yeah, we'll take a few racist
and they
jokes.
look pathetic too. Like, I love how half of their culture is being gangsters, and then the other half is, oh, we're so oppressed and pathetic. You know,
I know. It's like, choose
really,
one.
you're gonna have to pick a side. Are you a victim or are you a gangster?
Right.
I was gonna say something else, but
Thank
you
you.
gotta save that.
All right.
It is. He won.
Yeah.
It's at least half the country. I mean, to ascribe his worst traits to all of
I
them.
don't think it's half the country, but go on.
Well,
So
what is-
ascribe his
what-
worst
what
traits
is it?
to whatever.
How do you win an election?
Well,
And the
well, first
popular
it's the
vote.
electorate. Not everybody votes, and I don't think I think most of the people in America don't vote, and I don't think it's half the country. So what I'm saying is, I don't think half the country is racist, and I don't think all of MAGA is racist. But I do think that there's a huge element in the MAGA party that is racist, whether they are conscious of it or not. Some of them are not, and if they are not, they have had to overlook a lot of racism and a lot of bigotry. And if you do that and you say, I'm okay with this, I think that makes you worse than someone who just says, hey, I'm a racist, and they tell you.
But some of it is just a backlash to what they think was going too far, like all these corporations now that have dropped DEI. Now, in the government, they did it because he ordered
Backlash for what?
for too much DEI.
I don't think those people understand what DEI is. DEI is not the hiring of Black people who are not qualified or
It can be.
people who are.
What it is.
No. That's not what it's about.
It can have that result.
But any
Like, you wouldn't need DEI if it wasn't to try to get unqualified people in.
Right.
If it was just, we're just hiring qualified people, then you wouldn't need a program to help someone get the job. If they would get the job because they're qualified.
Right. Like, the most qualified should get the job. End of story. So the fact that
Right.
you have to say there should be actually this many slots for Black people and women and whatever, all these different so-called oppressed groups, then it just shows you that other people that were more qualified that happen to be white or happen to be white males or whatever, now they aren't there because, oh no, we need to fill these slots to get our racial
Right,
numbers.
it's like the same, people have a problem with cops having to fill out a quota, like you have to write this many tickets a month. Like,
Yes,
you don't have a problem with that, or
Right.
you have a problem with that, but then it's the same thing with
Right.
the race thing.
Right.
You know, it's just crazy. These people
Yes. I mean,
just trying to be a victim.
and seriously, and let me just say one thing. If these so-called minority groups were so qualified, then they wouldn't need DEI now, would they? They would be there anyways. So, but but these people will say, oh my gosh, it's the white patriarchy that's not allowing these people. Stop it. There's like, my dad's like a small business owner, and he said there's so many opportunities where he could have gotten help from the financial help from the government, like whatever, to help small businesses, but since he's a white man, he can't
Right.
get crap. So
You don't get anything.
the real oppressed group, the only one more oppressed than, of course, white men is orange
But
people.
it's, of course.
Obviously.
But it's because of our past, we should be ashamed of
Right,
ourselves.
of
So we don't
course.
deserve anything.
Comment an orange heart if you agree.
yes, of course it could have that result, but there's no evidence that it does have that result. And
I
so
don't know about that.
Okay, so then what is your evidence? There's no evidence that there is that result. If you can show me the evidence, then okay, then I will agree with you.
Well, I'm not going to name any names.
Okay, but
I'll just say
diversity,
that.
equity, inclusion, first of all, is not. Maybe they're talking about affirmative action, which is a whole different thing, which is about making sure you hired, a certain number of people that are this, that, and that. But diversity, equity, and inclusion is about making sure that the pool of candidates is larger. So if you are fishing, rather than fishing in a swimming pool, maybe you're in a pond. Rather than fishing in a pond, you're in a lake, or maybe in a lake instead of a river, or in a river, you're in the ocean. So you're just trying to find different people, and you're trying to increase the number of options of qualified people that you can hire. It's
You're
not
just
about
lowering the standards.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Right. You're making it less hard. Like, less qualified people are now part of this pool. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for proving our point. Just because he uses these different analogies, he thinks he gets away with it. But of course, with Democrats, you do, because, like, honestly.
They just, whatever they say is like, they fact check us all the time.
Right.
But they just can say whatever and it's just truth.
They're just like, oh, yeah. He's the intellectual. He's,
Right.
he's
Clearly.
the black guy with a colored shirt.
Yeah.
He knows what he's
He
talking
just
about.
needs a pair of glasses and then the LARP is complete.
Yes.
Hiring people who are not qualified and who are just black. The biggest recipient of DEI is white women, and also veterans, because of veterans, and also people who are disabled people. It's just about making sure that disabled people have a ramp somewhere at work so that they get to work and they
Understood,
can
but
whatever.
equity
A ramp?
is the word,
You're
not
not helping your
equality.
case.
That it was a change that
Wait,
people.
Like he's saying more white women are a recipient of it. Okay, I don't want white women flying my airplane, sorry.
Right. And I love how he's kind of putting white women in the same category as, like,
As the
disabled. That's
yeah.
so funny.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
It's like, okay, we agree.
Yeah.
We agree. We are disabled, and we shouldn't work.
People notice.
We're with you.
Equality
no,
was
yeah.
everybody gets an equal shot. Equity is like, no, it's basically quotas. Equity is we're going.
It's quotas. I don't think that America's never been about everybody getting an equal shot.
No, it certainly hasn't been. No one's
No.
contesting that.
No.
But that's what the idea, the old school liberal idea was, we need to strive for equality. That changed to equity. This is what some people are against, and reasonable people can disagree on it without being racist. Having said that, there are of course racists in this country. There always will be, just like there will always be criminals.
I agree, but I think the people who are disagreeing about it, they need to understand exactly what it is. I think people who disagree may not understand what it is. Now, I have an issue with DEI because I think when you make it a religion, it's not, then you end up with Val Frank.
What does that even mean when you make it a religion?
I don't know.
Like, I don't.
Black people should be the most offended at DEI because now anytime I see a black worker,
Right.
that's what I assume.
Right. You're like, oh, female
Or
pilot.
a
here we go.
woman or
Yeah.
a disabled person, I'm just like, well, didn't earn it. Maybe
Right.
they actually did earn it.
Right.
And
Same-
now everybody just thinks that.
Yeah, and same thing with college admissions too. Like, so many people,
Right.
I remember hearing people, oh, I couldn't get in because I was white, or some people see some, black girl, and she was in your class, she didn't do as well as you, she got in, you didn't. Oh, I wonder
Right.
why that is. And
Well, and there's a reason. Like, if I got accepted into Columbia just because I was a girl, I'm not smart enough to be in Columbia.
Right.
I would be behind in all my classes. I would be so stressed out. I wouldn't know what any of
Right.
the stuff is. So it's actually bad for people who get put in positions they didn't earn because then they're like out of their depth.
right, they can't
know?
actually keep up.
Yeah.
It's all so stupid, and it builds resentment.
It does.
Too. It does. Yeah. What are your concluding thoughts? I would say DEI is gay, and like Don Lemon said.
Lemon. How is it pronounced?
I think it's Don Lemon, but one time I heard someone say Don Lemon, and it's just
Okay.
like in my head ingrained. But
Yeah, me too.
You know,
he
women-
probably prefers that. It sounds French.
right.
Really plays
and the
into
French are
his
very
college card. Yeah.
right, and the whole gay thing. Yeah, and yeah, I think he made a good point that women and disabled people are the ones that get the benefit of DEI. So, thank you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
That was a slight,
Yeah, common ground. But this is
attack
when
on us,
this is
but-
when Republicans say like Democrats are the real racists or the real
Yeah, yeah.
sexist, which is so cringe. But unfortunately, it's true.
The only real sexists here are us.
Seriously.
So.
But we are proud of it. Anyways,
Yeah.
thanks for watching. Comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.